going on, everyone? We are in Ohio right now. We are headed to north central Pennsylvania. I just had a Philly cheesesteak, then I got a cup of coffee and a lemon pastry, and I am excited. I normally do not get to eat so well because I just don't have access to regular restaurants. But sometimes I go off the grid and I make things happen for me and park in crazy places. So that's what I did just now. Really happy I found this spot because I needed a good meal today. So this is the Akron-Canton area of Ohio, so it's eastern Ohio. I didn't realize Akron was in eastern Ohio until I was talking to this woman that I know from Ohio earlier today. I got her number a month ago, but I didn't call her since I wasn't coming through Ohio a lot. And then when I did come through Ohio, I thought she was in western Ohio, like northwestern Ohio, a place I'm not normally. So I didn't call her because I didn't think we could meet up for lunch or dinner. And then I figured out that she is like right within a route that I could take a lot if I want. I can request a lot of the different runs I do. So I figured out that she is like right in the middle of one of the runs that I can do a lot. So if we get along, that'll work out because I can come visit her a lot. Jesus loves you too. Jesus loves you too, buddy. So I hope we get along, and I hope she seems really cool. I just didn't call her until today because I didn't think she was anywhere that I could really get to unless I like went way off the map, which is possible, but like not that easy. We texted a few times and we weren't like super compatible over text. I mean, texting is just weird sometimes. But I called her this morning and then she called me back like 20 minutes later. Then we were on the phone for like 2.5 hours. So obviously we're compatible on the phone, so that's good. So like I said, this is the Akron-Canton area in eastern Ohio. We are on the I-76 east. We are headed to the I-80 east, and we'll be taking that pretty much all the way to my stop in Pennsylvania later tonight. There was a massive accident. Well, I mean, yeah, it was a massive accident this morning earlier on the I-70 that I took a video of. I just posted it right before I went live just now. A Stevens transport semi-truck absolutely fucked up a red Buick. I think it was a Buick. Absolutely fucked him up. So that is the short I just posted before I went live. Check it out, check it out, check it out. It is 5:31 or 17:31 in the evening right now in eastern Ohio. You ever hold the steering wheel too tight and then realize you're holding it too tight? Relax your hands. It's not normal for me. I'm pretty relaxed when it comes to the steering wheel, but sometimes it happens. I just noticed that I was really gripping the steering wheel really tightly with my right hand. I wonder what that was about. this week is already a lot better, so I'm happy about that. I hope your week is going well too, and if you had a bad week last week or the week before that, it's a new week. It is Monday afternoon, and you can just reset your brain, kind of reset your life a little bit, and just go at it. That's what I had to do. I reset my brain once in the middle of the week, and then on Saturday morning, early afternoon, I had to reset my brain again. Because what I do is hard. So sometimes I just have to kind of just do a hard reset on my brain and get back to work. I hope you guys understand. It's kind of hard to explain. Hello again to everyone. We are in Eastern Ohio in the Akron-Canton area on the I-76, the I-76 going eastbound. We are headed to north central Pennsylvania in a little bit on the I-80 eastbound. I feel pretty good. I hope you feel pretty good. I just had a Philly cheesesteak, a couple bottles of water. I am working my way through a large coffee and a lemon pastry. Very thrilled about that because normally I am not able to get food as good as I just got. I just don't have access to a lot of restaurants out here. But sometimes I kind of go off the grid, at least my grid, and park in weird places so that I can eat better than I usually do. I don't eat as badly as I used to because I prepare a lot of my own food on truck now. But even still, if I want to eat out, the only options I generally have are McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Subway, which are all pretty much crap, especially if you eat them every day. Here and there, fine, but all the time, will just wreck you, as I'm sure you guys know. Nice day out here, as you can see. The leaves are just turning colored. They're just turning colors here in Eastern Ohio. New York State was extremely colorful on the I-87 last week. Extremely colorful. Okay, we're getting some golden browns here on the trees, but I don't know, the I-87 was gorgeous last week. Gorgeous, gorgeous. my 13th day straight on the road since my last break. So I'm pretty tired. Pretty tired. So I've driven 13 out of the last 13 days. This is day number 13. Definitely not a record by any case, but had some interesting sleep lately. When I use the word interesting, it's not good. Last night, I stayed at a quiet Indian truck stop, and for the most part, I slept pretty well, so I am re-energized, or at least more energized than I was on Saturday and Sunday when I was feeling pretty rough. I hope you're all having a good week, and that stuff at work or school and stuff at home is good for you guys, because that's just so important. It's just so important. Thank you for joining me as I drive and drive and drive and drive into Pennsylvania today. We are about 280 miles into the day. We have about 290 miles left for the day. So we're about 50% exactly through the day. Let me know who the 5,000th subscriber is. We're right on. Oh wait. We are not on the cusp. Sorry. I thought I was closer to 5,000 subscribers than I am. I know I'm at like 4,910 or something like that. So still 90 away. So sorry about that. I mean, it could happen today, but probably will happen later in the week. So if you haven't subscribed, let's subscribe now so I can get to 5,000. I am in the Canton, Akron, Ohio area, so that's eastern Ohio, on the I-76. I'm about 10 miles away. Ooh, look at this beautiful bridge. Look at this water. Oh my God, so nice. I'm about 10 miles away from the I-80, so we'll be taking that eastbound into north central PA. Get there later tonight. there on the right, the driver is getting out of his door, so it's always nice to move over, give them some space, make sure they're safe on the road. Crazy stuff happens. As you can see in the short I just uploaded, you never know when you might get in an accident. And that semi-truck that I filmed this morning really smashed to pieces what I think was a Buick on the I-70. So that video I took just this morning. You never know when conditions are going to be unsafe. Even if they look idyllic as they do now, you never know when you might get in an accident. I have no idea whose fault that accident was, whether it was the semi following too closely or what I think was a Buick. Someone please correct me if it wasn't a Buick. What I think was a Buick cut the semi off when he was changing lanes. It might have been a little of both, but I mean, if the Buick cut the semi off, then the semi couldn't have been following the Buick too closely if the Buick was in another lane. But the semi definitely could have been following the Buick too closely and hit him if the Buick had to brake for whatever reason. Does anyone watching have an RV? I have never had an RV, nor I've never even driven an RV. Is that a crazy statement? I feel like I don't think I even know anyone that owns an RV. I think that's like a select group of people. I can't think of anyone I know that owns an RV. That's really funny. That's really funny. Does anyone watching own an RV? I've never even driven one. It's so funny to me. I've thought about renting one and going somewhere, but I never have. One day I will probably at least rent an RV. I will probably say that I will never own an RV. I could say that pretty confidently that I will never own an RV. Unless whomever I marry is dying to get an RV, I'm not buying one. And honestly, I hope that whoever I marry is not dying to get an RV, because I don't want one, and I don't want to drive around in one. I would drive around and live in a van for a while, like a really cool, decked out van with a nice bed and a kitchen and a little stove. I would do that. Obviously, I'm more than well equipped Shut up. Obviously, I can do that pretty easily since I'm so used to living on a truck, and those would be nicer conditions. But I've thought about buying a van and renovating it to where I'd be able to live in it. But honestly, once I get off the truck, think I'm done with the road for all intents and purposes. There's a chance I might ride a bicycle across the U.S. at some point. The only reason I say at some point is because it's so unsafe. I have ridden a bicycle halfway across the U.S. So from the middle of Colorado into eastern Missouri, which is about halfway across the U.S. So it's not out of this world. That's not an out of this world statement for me to say, oh, I'm going to ride my bicycle across the U.S. Because I've already done it. I've already gone halfway once on a bike. So yeah. It's just really dangerous. A lot of the drivers in the U.S. do not respect bicycles, and I've seen that on an almost daily basis while driving the truck, and it's sad. When I see a bicycle on the road, come on, people. When I see a bicycle on the road, I shut down the road with my truck. I put the hazards on, I shut down the road. I make myself as big as possible in as many lanes as possible to give that rider some safety. But other drivers do not do so. And it's sad. So if you guys see a bike on the road, please give them a lot of space. And you know what? Same thing as a truck. I know that sounds funny because we're so big. But some of these drivers out here are so dangerous, so stupid, so involved in their phone. And I'm talking about truck drivers right now, guys. I'm not talking about cars. I'm not talking about people that drive their own cars. Some truck drivers are just dangerous, ill-prepared for the road. They didn't have good training. They're so involved with their phone. They have a drinking problem. They have a substance abuse problem. Please stay as far away as you can from trucks. And I'm not saying that because I think truckers should have all the space on the road possible. I'm saying that so you guys don't get killed or so that your cars don't get messed up by these maniacs. A lot of the trucks you see on the road might be in ill repair. They might need new tires, new brakes. So you never know the condition of the trucks, and you never know the condition of the driver. So just please stay as far away from trucks as you can. Because as evidenced in that video that I posted this morning, trucks can do a lot of damage to a regular car. They can do a lot of damage. And I saw that firsthand this morning going eastbound on the I-70, which you could also see if you watch the short I just uploaded about an hour ago. And that's the biggest reason I don't want to take my bike on the road. Because not only do you have unsafe truckers, but you have unsafe drivers who might be on their phones or abusing drugs or alcohol, not paying attention to the road, and then my bike is like a feather to them, like a piece of paper, like a literal piece of paper. And any car on the road would crumple me if they so much as touched me on my bike. This box truck driver that's passing right here on the left, he had his phone up to his ear. It's so funny. Like, I'll be talking about something to you guys, and I'll see a representation of it like immediately. Like this box truck driver, unsafe driver, has his phone up to his ear, not paying attention to the road, and it's just like you never know who's behind you, who's in front of you, who's on the side of you. So just really be aware of what's going on the road. I know I sound like someone's like demented grandfather or grandmother, but crazy stuff happens out here, guys, and I see it all the time. And that box truck driver I was just talking about that it's on his phone, just cut off that green pickup truck. We are now on the I-80 going eastbound. We will be on this road for the duration of the day. For the rest of the evening. Sit back, relax, get yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a glass of scotch, a nice ice cold beer, and some popcorn. I'm going to try to stream as long as I can tonight, as long as it makes sense. That's the best way to put it, as long as it makes sense. Love when you can see the shadow of the truck on the road. Isn't that so cool? Are you going to start driving a truck soon, nobody? I can't wait for you to be out on the road, too. Do you already have a license? I don't know what those two guys are doing, but I mean, I'm past them now, so I'm not worried about them. This lemon loaf and coffee I'm having are absolutely freaking delicious. Like, just off the hook. The cheesesteak I had right before I went live, oh my god. It makes my tummy so full, but it tasted so good. I really hope you guys are having a good day. If your day hasn't been so good so far, I hope this stream is making it a touch better. There is a broke down vehicle up here on the right. That's why I got into the left lane. Hope he's alright, figuring his situation out. I know what that's like. I have broke down in many different types of vehicles all over the United States of America. And when I say all over, I mean all over the U.S. What's going on? What's going on? It's Monday evening on the East Coast. Well, I don't know if I can say East Coast yet. This is not the Midwest. What is this? What's the term for Ohio? I feel like there's some term for this area. It's not the Midwest, obviously. It's not the Bible Belt, most obviously. I'm kidding when I say Bible Belt. I know this is not the Bible Belt. I feel like there's a term for this area of the country. So we're right on the border of eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania right now. Like right on the border. We're going to be in Pennsylvania in minutes. I don't know exactly where I'm going to live when I get off the truck. I don't know if you guys know, but I do not have a home. I do not have an apartment, a house, a room in a house, a room in someone's apartment, a basement, a shed, nothing. I live in the truck. When I take breaks, I stay at really nice hotels, but I am on the truck. The sole purpose of me driving this truck is so that I could buy my own house. And I am not yet there. Hopefully I will be soon. But I do not have a home besides the back of this vehicle that I am driving right now. So it gives me a lot of freedom as far as choosing where I'm going to live, choosing where I'm going to buy a house. And honestly, I don't know if it's just sheer luck or circumstance or what have you, but the women in Ohio are beautiful, and they all talk to me, and they all give me their number, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I should move to Ohio. Like the women in Ohio are super receptive to me. I don't know why, and it's not like I talk to everyone, but I guess maybe I've had more of a chance to talk to women in Ohio. I don't know what it is, but they're all beautiful. They're all super nice and pretty and smart, and yeah, maybe I should move here. Who knows? I mean, I never thought I would live in Ohio, but that's a pretty good parameter for me. If the women are beautiful and smart and they like me, then maybe I should move here. I don't know. I just got over in the left lane because a truck broke down on the right shoulder. And here we are. I said we'd be in Pennsylvania in minutes. This is the Pennsylvania state line. Welcome to Pennsylvania. We are here. I'm always excited to cross the state line. I'm always excited. Even though I've been doing this for a while, I get excited. Let's go, let's go! Okay, we got a lane split coming up. I am trying to decide which way. Should I go left? Should I go right? Should I go right down the fucking middle? I am not sure. Got a Werner truck coming in hot on the left. Why are you going so fast, buddy? We got construction. We got Snyder trucks going 40 miles an hour. I drove for Werner once upon a time. I made a lot of money at Werner. I know it's a funny statement for anyone who's in the trucking world, but I got lucky and I got on a seasonal Best Buy account. So what that means is I only delivered Best Buy goods like electronics, computers and iPods and iPads and TVs and dishwashers and washer and dryers and Bluetooth devices, etc., speakers, what have you, to Best Buys. That's all I did. I went from the Best Buy distribution center to a Best Buy, and I got paid really, really well. So I got $1,750 a week, guaranteed. And the thing about that is people make more than truckers. There are some truckers who make more than $1,750 a week. But there are not truckers who make $1,750 a week for driving as little as I did. Some weeks, and I'm not exaggerating, I only drove 500 miles, which is nothing. and I would still get paid $1,750 a week. Every week, regardless of how many miles I drove. It was a Christmas, funny, they have seasonal jobs for everything. It was a Christmas Best Buy account at Warner. If you are a truck driver and you're watching this, look it up. Maybe they're hiring now because it is October. They probably hired most of the drivers, but it's $1,750 a week, guaranteed. And some weeks I only drove 500 miles. It was beautiful, just beautiful. Now, I don't want to say don't go to a company, but I would say don't go to Warner if you want to make any kind of real money. They are one of the starter companies in the trucking industry, and you generally will not get paid like I did there. So when I would be in the lounge, hanging out or whatever, and talk to other drivers, and they would be lamenting about how little money they made, and they asked me how much I made, I would be like, oh, about the same. Because there's no way I'm telling a guy who makes $600, $700, $800, $900 a week that I make $1,750 a week and I drive less miles than them. I would never do that. And shame on drivers who do that. And I've met drivers, there's some weird drivers out there. They'll just come up to you at McDonald's, and this has happened to me multiple times. They'll just like walk up to you at McDonald's and be like, oh, you drive a truck? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah. Well, I guess I help. Sorry, I'm trying to do this accent. Hold on, let me start over. So I'll be in McDonald's, whatever, ordering my 2 cheeseburger meal, which I do. And they'll come up to me like, oh, you drive a truck? And I'm like, yeah, I drive a truck. They're like, yeah, well, I bet you don't make as much money as I do. And the number is always $3,500 a week. All these motherfuckers make $3,500 a week. And the thing is, it's just funny. Like, there are truck drivers who make $3,500 a week, but it's never one of those guys that walk up to me at McDonald's and say, like, oh, you drive a truck? It's never going to be one of those guys. Not ever, not once. Those are the guys that are pissed about their life. And because why else? Answer me this. Like, why else would you be going up to some random guy at McDonald's and just say, like, tell them how much you make? Like, they're not coming up to me to offer me a job. They're coming up to disparage me and make me feel bad about, like, my life as it is. And it's always $3,500. The number has never not been $3,500. This has happened at McDonald's. This happens at the fuel pump a lot. I had this one Eastern European guy come up to me a couple years back. This is when I was at Best Buy making $1,750 a week, regardless of how many miles I drove. And this Eastern European guy comes up to me. He's like, yeah, I make like $3,500. It's always $3,500 a week. The magic number is always $3,500. I guess that's what's in these guys' heads for really good money, which is, it is good money. If you make that every week, it's over $150,000 a year, right? Anyway, so it's always $300 a week. And this Eastern European guy comes up to me once. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, he's like, looks like you're working hard or whatever. He's like, so you know, you don't have to work that hard. Like, you know, I make $3,500 a week. And I was like, yeah. He's like, I got, you know, I'm working for this company. We don't really follow the rules. Regardless of whether his company followed the rules or not, he didn't make $3,500 a week. I guess since I'm talking about that number, I will tell you the trucking jobs where you can make $3,500 a week. Okay, let's start. You can make $3,500 a week. You'll make more than $3,500 a week driving a truck if you haul cattle. So if you're a cattle hauler, which means you're hauling cows and bulls all over the country, you'll make more than $3,500 a week. You'll make substantially more, actually. Very dangerous job because they can't take breaks because the cattle can't take breaks. So the only time they can really take a break is when they're stopping at a friendly farm or a friendly field to let the cattle off to graze and do what they do, drink water, etc. That's the only time the truck driver, the cattle hauler, can take a break. And I'm not exaggerating. The only time they stop is for fuel and to let the cattle graze. Otherwise, they are driving, which means they are on drugs. Anyway, so you can make over $3,500 a week as a cattle hauler. You can make over $3,500 a week transporting vaccines and medications. You can make over $3,500 a week transporting both refined and crude oil. And And that's about it. Oh, UPS drivers also make over $3,500 a week generally, I believe, or around that number. Extremely hard to get a semi job as a UPS driver. Extremely hard. So good. That's the number of people that make $3,500 a week. So anyone telling you they make $3,500 a week are generally lying. And the people that do make $3,500 a week are never walking up to you randomly and being like, yeah, you drive a truck, I drive a truck, I bet you I make more money than you. No. Those people are never coming up to you saying that crap. So, there that is. See a little color on the trees now. I guess the sun is lighting them up in a different way than the sun was lighting them up earlier. But there's a bit of color on the trees here. Some burnt orange and some nice burnt red trees. Hopefully they didn't go on fire, right? But no, they're good. They're okay. Definitely not as many wildfires on the eastern side of the United States as there is in the western parts of the United States. We are absolutely banging down the road today. We are well over 300 miles into the day, which is fantastic. Twisty and turny roads here on the I-80 East. A lot of different gradients, so it's definitely not I wouldn't say it's a hard drive, but it's not an easy drive. I like when roads are a bit challenging, not too challenging. I mean, I've driven on really challenging roads, but I don't want to get that nervous. But the good thing about roads that are a bit challenging is that it keeps you alert. When you're on an easy road, it's easy. When you're on an easy road, it's easy for your brain to wander. And you know, I'm not perfect. So sometimes my brain wanders, and sometimes I get sleepy. I do try to stop when that happens, but sometimes I'm not gonna tell you stories and say that sometimes I don't drive when I shouldn't be driving. And I don't mean like. Obviously, I don't mean because I've been drinking or doing drugs. I just mean because I'm too tired to drive. And sometimes I push myself a little too hard. I try not to, but it does happen sometimes. Less often than not, but even those times, I shouldn't be doing it. The only excuse I'll make, and this is a proper excuse, sometimes when I get tired, there just isn't a place to pull over. Like not off an exit, not at a truck stop, not a rest area. They just sometimes in some areas there is quite literally not a place for me to pull over and take a break. And those thankfully are the places where I drive too tired. What I mean by that is like that is usually some of the only times I drive really tired is when I just can't pull over, when there's just no place to pull over. And sometimes you can't plan when you're going to be tired. Sometimes you think you got a great sleep the past couple nights, and then all of a sudden you'll be driving and just like this wave of tiredness just hits you right in the face. So you always can't be prepared for that. And sometimes there's literally nowhere to pull over. Like I'd have to stop the traffic behind me. That's how there's just nowhere to take a rest sometimes. We are on the I-80 eastbound in western Pennsylvania. You cannot get more West Pennsylvania than we are right now. We are going 69 miles an hour. That is 69 miles an hour, not 96 or not 969, not 96 miles an hour, but we are going 69 or 69 miles an hour right now. Cruising pretty comfortably. There's a tanker truck behind me that cannot drive that well. Keeps on getting into the left lane to pass me, but then he realizes he can't go fast enough for that. And a little earlier in the stream, like 15-20 minutes ago, he was on the exit. He was in the exit lane. I'm not sure if there was something wrong with his truck or something wrong with his brain, or he was just taking a break. But that's the same driver that's behind me was in the exit lane, and he pulled out slowly onto the road as I passed by. So I don't know what his deal is, but he cannot drive a truck super well. So hopefully we do not have any real dealings with this fine individual. But he is right on my ass at the moment, so I think something's gonna happen. Not necessarily too bad, but there might be an interaction of sorts. He is going to try again to pass me on the left, and I think he's going to be successful because we're kind of stuck behind the truck in front of us at the moment. The thing is, I probably will pass him on a downhill. I don't want to play truck games, and I hate playing road games. Some of these drivers, they're just bad, like just B-A-D, bad. I mean, I cannot think of a more eloquent word to describe some of these motherfuckers. Excuse my German. Yeah, he's right here on the Hilco truck coming up. He just passed me on the left. I was just about to say, if he gets right in front of me, he's a clown. Because the guy in front of me is going slower than I am. And this clown in the tanker just got behind him. I mean, these people just don't think forward. There's no forward thinking involved. A lot of truck drivers just do not use their brains to any real extent, and it drives me fucking wild. Like up trees, down into ravines, in ditches, Jesus. Just what are you freaking doing today, kind of thing. Here he comes again. He just can't drive his truck. He has no presence on the road. guy in the Panther truck on the right, he has a Panther trailer. He might be one of those guys I was just talking about that makes $3,500 or more a week. Panther is one of the custom critical companies, and custom critical drivers are the ones that transport medications and vaccines. So we might have one of those $3,500 a week drivers coming up here right on the right. He may make $3,500 a week. Yep, he's a custom critical truck. So this guy is literally one of the guys I was talking about that makes $3,500 a week or more. I would say it is nearly guaranteed that this guy makes more than $3,500 a week. That's after expenses, etc. Obviously not after taxes, but yeah, this guy's a custom critical driver. So there are medications and vaccines in this truck on the right here. You can see the big sleeper. Custom critical trucks have that nice big sleeper because they have that shortened trailer so they can have more space and more weight in the sleeper as compared to the truck, like the kind of truck that I talk about a $3,500 a week driver, and then we come upon one just a little while later. Beautiful. And I've been offered those jobs, so you're like, oh, well, why don't you do that? Why don't you transport vaccines and medications? And I'll tell you why I don't do it. It's because you need to team drive to get those jobs, because the medications and vaccines have to get there today, right? So for all kinds of reasons, for freshness reasons, for security reasons, all kinds of reasons, right? Because of like supply reasons. So in order to do custom critical, which is that it's called, which generally transport medications and vaccines, you have to be in a team driver situation. Now I would do team driving, but it's only going to be with a woman, and that woman is going to be my girlfriend or my fiance or my wife. I am not getting in a truck with another guy. I did that when I trained to drive, and once was enough for me. And it was a few months, and it was a bit fun, but it was generally crazy. And yeah, it's just not the best thing in the world. Glad I hung back a little because there's a little craziness going up the road with a few trucks at the moment. The other $3,500 a week job I have been offered a couple times is that of a cattle hauler, and the reason I didn't take that job was because you have to do drugs to do the job, and I don't want to do drugs to drive a truck. I think it's just not worth it. I don't want to wreck my body even further because I developed a drug habit to do my job. If you have to do a drug to do your job, then you probably should think about that job. I'm not going to blanket statement and say you definitely shouldn't do that, to each his own, but I hope that I keep my conviction and never take drugs in order to do a job. right, y'all. I'm gonna take a break for a little bit. I might come back a little later. I may not. I just need to do some things. Thank you for watching so much. I always enjoy having you here with me as I drive. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I will see